You're watching Outnumbered. We are so glad that you are. A key part of the president's State of the Union tonight, as we are expecting, is his plan to raise the capital gains tax on top earners from 20% to 28%. And that is not only expected to trigger vigorous opposition from Republicans, it could also create actually some big problems for former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton if she decides to run for president. Clinton herself said in her last run for president that she wouldn't raise the capital gains rate above 20%, if at all. Meanwhile, syndicated columnist Charles Kratheimer, and also a Fox News contributor, explains why tonight is all about President Obama defining his own legacy and has nothing to do with helping Hillary.
He wants to be the man who changed, or at least who brought the party back from the Clintonian, meaning the Bill Clintonian idea of a party that was moderate, that was able to balance the budget, that abolished welfare. That's the Clinton idea, the moderate sort of center-left. Obama is not a center-left man. He wants to change America, and he wants to change the party.
So perhaps she'll be watching, holding her nose if that's the case, because that might hurt her. What are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, President Obama does not care about Hillary Clinton. He cares about his legacy, and that's what he's going to focus on, period. It's all about the
So you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he was spot on. That being said, in addition, you have Joni Ernst, obviously, who's going to be giving the response. So here you have a mom, a wife, state senator, accomplished person in her own right. 1993 to the president, she served in the military, a lieutenant colonel, a veteran, the first woman to represent Iowa in the United States Senate. And you have a situation right now where she's getting hammered right now by a lot of the more liberal media types and the like.
And we'll talk a little bit more about Senator Ernst in just a second. I'm curious to know, though, for Hillary Clinton, if you're watching this, you're thinking about getting in, do you need President Obama's help, Melissa?
I mean, I think financially you do. I mean, he controls so much of the purse strings from the Democrats going forward. I think that the power and money that he throws behind potentially Elizabeth Warren, I know she says she's not running. I don't believe that
You never believe her.
I don't
love
believe
it.
her. I mean, I've watched this woman for a long time since she was a Harvard professor, and she knows a moment when it's time to seize it. You know, I mean, no one knows her better than you do, Senator. Do you think she's running?
I hope she runs. I encourage her to run. I think it's important to have that competition, because in the Democratic Party, they always kind of anoint. Here, you're going to run this time. In the Republican Party, we have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people running. They go through the process. They let the American people make that decision. So if she runs, though, she's going to have to answer a lot of questions, not only about her background or qualifications. And in Massachusetts,
I think he wanted her to run because her economic populism is not going to go over well in a general election. I think she's easily defeated.
Oh, she was dead broke when she left the White House, she says.
Oh, and I'm talking about Warren.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm talking about
Hillary Clinton. If she's smart, she'll go back to that moderate centrist, you know, essentially Republican financial gravy train that her husband provided, at least in the minds of people who enjoyed his.
Well, Elizabeth Warren is going to push her to the left, as well as
she
other
is,
groups.
and that's going to push her, you know, into even more economic populism. And by the way, I'm going to say this to Republicans and Democrats: get off the economic populism. No one wants it right now. It's not going to do anything but hamper and hog-tie the economy. And speaking of hog-tying,
right? Okay, so but I want.
Why did you look at me when you said that?
We're going to talk about Joni Ernst.
We are. I want to ask, though, if
pig farmer,
if the former Secretary of State is watching this, and I know that you've done messaging with campaigns before, you've handled those crises moments. It would be a crisis if the president is going to put in the bullseye very wealthy people because she makes a lot of money. Now, hey, that's great. That's her American dream. She's following it. It's complicated, though, when you get out on the campaign trail and you try to sell we were dead broke, and all those things are going to start to come back. So how do you spin it if you're Hillary Clinton?
Well, Hillary has to be careful, because last time she darted to the middle, I think, way too soon. And that created that opening for Barack Obama to rise in. So Hillary Clinton, even though she feels pressure from Elizabeth Warren, she's sitting back tonight, and while she's going to listen to Barack Obama's message, his very progressive messages, that's what she agrees with. Remember, she's a progressive, Bill's more of a moderate. This is why, Harris, Republicans at all costs have to tie Hillary to President Obama, because she's going to want to put distance between herself and President Obama. Republicans need to be watching very closely, and they need to tie Hillary to things like Obamacare and not to Bill Clinton because of that legacy, that she's going to try and say, look, you get my husband, 2 for the price of 1, 2 for the price of 1.
Well, we saw him do a little bit of that on his own with interviews
Yeah.
that he gave in late night television last week when he was talking about
sure.
how he would deal with extremism and the radical within the Muslim community. He used those words that we haven't necessarily heard as much from the White House. So it's interesting.
Yeah.